Hello and welcome to Solent Sports News. For your 4 o'clock bulletin, I'm Callum Byrne. We start with the news on Southampton Football Club. They currently sit 11th in the Premier League table after an inconsistent start to the season, and they welcome 5th place Arsenal to St Mary's on Sunday. Cedric Soares remains out with a hamstring injury, while Arsene Wenger will recall his big guns who were rested in midweek. Charlie Austin's 3 goals in 2 games will leave him expecting a starting place against the Gunners.
Obviously, after scored 3 goals in the last 2 games, this is important for him, but it's important for the team. But always, for me, I've got the same opinion. We had to create chances to try to find in every single game different solution, different way to try to attack, because the teams, everybody know about the other, how to defend, and the teams every single year are better in the organization. Hopefully we can continue scoring goals, and it's something that, we have a massive game Sunday, and it's a nice challenge for us.
Ahead of the match, there's been a crisis with Southampton's train services. Our reporter James Pointing spoke to the leader of the Appointment Saints online forum about travel problems fans will face on Sunday.
This Sunday, Southampton host Arsenal at St Mary's, but there's been a travel disaster on the south coast. All Southampton stations will be shut all day on Sunday despite having months to avoid the situation. Nick Illingsworth, editor of the Southampton fan forum The Ugly Truth, has described this ugly scenario as sketchy.
The train maintenance companies have known for the best part of 5 months. The stuff put out by the Network Rail, South Western Trains, etc. has been sketchy to say the least.
The match will kick off at 12 p.m, meaning Arsenal fans travelling from London will have an early start to their day just to get to the stadium on time.
The 12 p.m, 12 noon kickoff gives no one a chance, with no room for manoeuvre. Late trains, chaos on the buses. Unless you get the 9 o'clock train out of Waterloo, you're not going to make the kickoff. Arsenal will bring 3,000 supporters down from London, and I probably expect around about half of those to come down by rail. Just going to be total chaos.
Nick confirmed to us that when the Premier League decide on fixtures and possible fixture changes, they take into account all disruptions happening at the train stations.
Sky TV, the Premier League, should perhaps have looked at railworks, and I know they do. When they put fixtures in, having been at meetings with the Premier League in various guises, I know that compile a fixture list at the start of the season, that they look at things that are happening in the area and including railworks.
Needless to say, Nick believes there's only one victim of this disorganisation.
It's always the case that the match attending football fan gets shafted.
We'll see how many Arsenal fans can actually make the game in time for the 12 p.m. kickoff this Sunday. James Pointing, Solent Sport News.
Premier League games will be played on a Saturday night for the first time as of 2019. 8 matches in the prime time TV slot are up for grabs when broadcasters bid for the rights to show 200 fixtures, 32 more than the current deal. This is one of 7 packages on offer. We heard from football commentator Gary Taphouse about the Premier League's midweek schedule.
Midweek matches, for the first time, they will all be able to be shown live. Which is another new innovation. Obviously, normally on a Saturday 3 o'clock round of games, you couldn't have every match live because there's the blackout to protect non-league and lower league clubs. That's not an issue midweek. So if you were a broadcaster that won the right to show midweek Premier League games, you wouldn't have to just pick one. You can actually show the entire week's worth of games live.
We've also heard from the public to hear what they think of the Premier League's latest TV deal.
Everybody's off, doing a good atmosphere. Everybody wants to go on a Saturday.
I think for families that work during on the Saturday, it might be nice to take the kids in maybe in the Saturday night.
People go out on Saturday nights and watch it on the telly.
Give you something to watch on an evening. That's always good.
I don't see the point because people do a lot of things on Saturday nights anyway, so maybe break up the week and have it in the week.
It's now time to go and listen to what our reporter Tom Hayward has to say, who's been rounding up some of the other local football news.
Portsmouth currently sit in 8th place and they travel to 6th place Charlton Athletic. Blues boss Kenny Jackett has announced that captain Brett Pittman has trained this week and is likely to make a return tomorrow. He's been sidelined for the last 3 games with a hamstring problem. Bournemouth are away to Crystal Palace, who remain in the relegation zone. Cherries defender Adam Smith is suspended after accumulating 5 bookings. Steve Cook is his likely replacement. And despite a turn in form for Palace since the appointment of Roy Hodgson as manager, Bournemouth boss Eddie Howe is now determined to keep focused.
I think we're okay. I think we're pretty good. We still have the long-termers out, Brad Smith, Tyrone Mings. I think apart from that, everyone's nearing fitness. I think you have to. I don't think it does you any good whatsoever to look at things that are in the future. It's got to be the here and now. Can we beat Crystal Palace? Can we get our preparation right, the players perform right, and go and win the game? That's all we can focus on.
Local side Porchester Town face Amesbury Town tomorrow at the Wicker Wreck. Chairman Paul Kelly believes the game is a crucial one.
Yeah, obviously we're playing Amesbury tomorrow in the Wessex Premier League. It's an important game for us. We need to pick up 3 points. We've sort of slipped off the radar a little bit. Obviously Amesbury will be coming here to try and make up for their defeat against us in the FA Cup back in August. So fingers crossed the lads pick themselves up from last Saturday and take all 3 points on offer.
AFC Totton have a playoff grudge match coming up against Bristol Manor Farm at the weekend, and new goalkeeper Shane Murphy is confident that the Stags can deliver.
I think we can go in there with full of confidence, really. Coming off the win at Cirencester, we didn't play our best, but we picked up 3 points, which is really important, and it shows a lot of character. We didn't control the game as much as we liked, but we still managed to come out on top, which is the most important thing. I can't see why we can't go there and get all 3 points.
Now to snooker, and we're joined by Daniel Lewis in the studio. So, Dan, Ronnie O'Sullivan's back in action as we speak. What's the latest news?
Yes, so the UK Snooker Championship has reached a quarter-final stage, with Ronnie O'Sullivan currently playing on table number 1. He's winning 5 games to 1 against Martin Gold. O'Sullivan, of course, was beaten in last year's final against Mark Selby, and last took victory at the Barbican Centre back in 2014. Over on table number 2, and Stephen Maguire is currently winning 5 games to 2 against Joe Parry. All of the quarterfinals are best of 11 frames. Scheduled at 7 o'clock tonight are the other 2 quarterfinals, with Sean Murphy taking on Mark King and Ryan Day against Mark Joyce.
Thanks, Dan. In the Ashes, an England all-rounder Moeen Ali is confident that he'll be fit enough to compete for the rest of the series in Australia. He barely bowled in the second test due to needing stitches in his finger following an injury picked up during the first test. But the spinner is hoping to be back at his best for the remaining 3 matches.
Since then it's not been easy and it's been difficult to bowl and stuff, but last game was much better. I just didn't bowl as well.
Some local cricket news now. Tom Scriven is an all-rounder for Hampshire Counties Academy and is performing well in England under-19s at the Tri-Nations Series in South Africa. Scriven has just turned 19 and hit an unbeaten 88 from 72 balls as England's young stars maintained their unbeaten record in the tournament with a 130-run victory over Namibia. On to rugby union now, and Glasgow face Montpellier Herald in tonight's European Challenge Cup fixture. The tie will take place at 7:45 this evening at the Scotstoun Stadium. Going over to some winter sports now, and in the skeleton bob, Germany's Jacqueline Lolling has taken gold in the Skeleton World Cup in Winterberg, her first victory on home soil in Germany. Britain's Lizzie Arnold finished 13th overall, 1.9 seconds off the lead after bad weather impacted her first run. Her teammate Laura Dees was 7th. And speed skating's governing body has been ordered to scrap penalties aimed at stopping athletes from competing in new commercial events. Margarine Vaska, a European competition commissioner, feels that the ISU should not seek to stop their participants taking part in non-affiliated events.
The rules should not be about ISU's own commercial interest. The eligibility of an athlete should not depend on whether he or she takes part in a competition that doesn't threaten those legitimate sporting objectives.
And that's all we have time for now. Be sure to tune in again next week on Solent Sports News. If not, check our website, solentjournalism.co.uk. Until then, goodbye.